Good morning and welcome to yet another video where I'm working on this 320 Pegasus engine. Now I have to apologize for many things in this video first of all, and primarily the first few videos I was using a new tripod, had it set right up against my table so that anytime I hit my table the camera shook. And then I was wearing a hat and the bill would get in front of the video and I didn't see that. And then I did this. Oops. I did not capture the disassembly of this crankcase. Why? Because after all the other filming I did, my battery died and the SD card filled up. But because me being who I am, I was on a roll and really didn't want to just stop and wait for the camera to spend 2 hours charging, come back out here and do this because I had other things to do. I just went ahead and continued the disassembly. So unfortunately you're gonna see what these clean parts look like now. So I know, I have done this in the past on one of these engines, and again I probably missed the key things that people wanted to see, which might have been, how did I get this out of the crankcase? Well, the short answer is I heated up the crankcase and I tapped it out. How did I do that? Well, I'll put a picture of my other bench that's off to my left here that has a wood vise on the side, and I just opened it up enough so that the crankcase components could come out, and I just used a piece of wood and soft mallet and just started tapping on this thing until it all came out. So at one point this thing separated and I had to kind of push it back together because this part was wanting to come out and this part was kind of stuck in there. But when you're disassembling one of these, it's critical that this stay in one piece and it not separate like that, because when you've got the bearings on here, obviously the bearings need to go in and out very straight. So it's keen, it's quite important that this all stays in one piece and comes out straight and even, otherwise you could have problems. So the bottom line is I heated this up and I oiled and I tapped it out. Now as far as when I left off on this, and that was when my camera shut down, I was basically just wiggling it. I didn't tap on this or anything. I was just wiggling it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Eventually it popped off. Now it's all clean now, and this is one bearing that I am not replacing because this one feels brand new and it's already been oiled up, and that's the only bearing that I'm not replacing. Now if you go back and look at the first 320 video, you'll see that, I don't know if my, hang on a second here, looks like my camera lens might still be fogging up. Hang on. It's very humid out here, and this camera came from an air-conditioned environment, so all the air and the water in the air condenses on the lens. Anyway, this is a cleaned up crankshaft, obviously. Now, that first 320 I had looked like it was an older or a newer engine than this one, but it was in much worse condition. There was a lot of pitting on all of these metal parts. In fact, the camshaft on that engine was really pitted. Hopefully this is focusing still. This one doesn't really have any pitting, it just has some marking on it. But it's in really good shape. I mean, the internals of this engine are in much, much better shape than the previous engine, at least as far as this goes. And this is kind of stuff that you cannot buy replacements for. They absolutely, positively do not have more crankshafts or more camshafts. So, I got the crankshaft out. The camshaft was a whole different matter because it was in here like this, obviously, and if you watch the last video, you'll know that my cam followers were still in here. Well, so to start getting this thing out, I just kind of did the same thing. I used a punch and just started punching, or punched it out. In fact, I pulled the camshaft out first and then the crankshaft. But I started tapping it out. Well, because of the orientation and how some of these were cam followers were kind of in there, it really required me to sit here and kind of manipulate this around so that I could pull it out, push a cam follower out, push the cam follower out, grab the ones that came out, make sure I kept them with the proper cylinder, and then flipped it over and did the same thing. But this wasn't just an easy thing to get out. I had to sit here and keep manipulating around the cam lobes on here, and you know, it took a couple of minutes, and I finally pulled it out. So other than that, that's really all I've got to show on this video. Here's all my bearings. I threw those in the ultrasonic cleaner and then kind of sanded them down just so I could get the readings on them, see what size they were, because quite honestly, I would be very hesitant to ever buy, and I don't buy bearings from Boca Bearing anymore at all, because I've seen way too many instances where they are just flat out wrong. They don't know what the hell they're talking about when they say this is for this engine, because these that they had, actually most all the bearings that Boca had listed for this engine were wrong. They were saying these were 6004s, and they're not, they're 6904s. So do not trust Boca Bearing at all. Sure, you might get a general idea, maybe, but I personally, the only thing that Boca is good for is if you can find the right number bearing you need, at least then the dimensions of the dimensions are, you can look that up and see that that's correct. But I wouldn't go by what they say the number is for a particular engine, because I've seen at least 2 to 3 instances where they're just flat out wrong. Had I ordered bearings from Boca just saying, just give me those bearings because you say they're for a 320, I would have had the wrong freaking bearings for this engine. And I don't do business with Boca, period, because they're wrong. They might provide good quality bearings, but their website sucks ass, and I don't trust anything their website says. That's not to say they don't have good bearings, because they do. They provide good bearings, but the information on their website is freaking horrible, and don't trust it ever. So that's my rant about that. So at this moment, and I don't know how I'm going to order these videos, at this moment I still have all 4 heads completely assembled. I just pulled the complete jug off. I haven't disassembled the top of the head, taken the valves out or anything. So you may be seeing those videos in advance of this one. I don't know. I'm just saying what the status is now. Yesterday when I started making the videos of the disassembly, I did several videos and I got this far. I have not done anything with the heads yet, and quite honestly, I'm probably only going to make a video of one of the heads, because once you do one head, the other 3 are exactly the same. So this was the oops I screwed up in all my other videos, and oops I didn't show probably some of the stuff that many people wanted to see, but quite honestly the stuff that took place over on my vise would have been extremely difficult for me to get a decent camera angle on, because of all the stuff that's in my garage, where I would have had to try to set up a tripod, and how I would have tried to manipulate working properly with all of that crap in the way. So unfortunately this is what you get, and that's where we stand. So thank you.